Hi, Ethan. Hi, Max. Hi. How are you, Max? You good? Good, brilliant. And we've got Ethan there as well. Hi, Ethan. Are you there? Okay. We'll just wait for everyone else to come in, and hopefully they'll be on their way. Have you had a good day, Max? Have you been up to anything since yesterday? No? Okay. Hopefully everyone else. We've got Isabella T coming in. There we go. Hi, Isabella. How are you?
Hi, Sophie.
Hi, Ethan. How are you?
Good.
You're good? You had a good day? Did you have a good day yesterday?
Yeah, yes.
Did you do anything exciting?
No.
No, nothing exciting. How about you, Isabella? How are you? You good? Good.
Can I
Okay.
share screen?
Can you what? Sorry?
I want to share screen.
You want to share screen? I'm not sure if you can. I don't even think you can. I think only the host can. I'm not quite sure.
If you don't disable the share screening, that means I can do it.
Oh no. I'm actually not very good on Zoom. I'm never that sure how to do it. Let me just say hi to Shawi. Hi Shawi, how are you?
Good.
You're good. Did you have a good day yesterday? Yeah, did you do anything exciting?
Well, I played with little brother and we made the little, I don't know, with the chairs and cardboard tubes, lids, we made a kind of a house.
Oh, wow. How old is your brother?
Oh yeah, I did something to fun yesterday.
Did you, Ethan? What did you do?
But it's only for me fun. I played chess and then I played against the computer. Stockerfish won. It was so dumb that it didn't even know that I was eating everything. Eating his queen, his rook, his horse, his bishop, and then at last he got one queen and I got one king and nothing else, and I got 20,000 queens and 20,000 rooks and stuff.
20,000 queens? I'm not even sure there are 20,000 queens on the board.
Well, it won't fit on the board.
Yeah. Oh, well done. I think I'm just going to ask Isabella T. Isabella T, your hand was up.
So either I and my daddy played Guess Who. It was really funny. So it's playing like this. So there's one people maybe one people call Isabella. But guess who? But this say is he had a red hat, like
Oh, very cool. Yeah, and then you have to find out who it is in the end.
Oh yeah, I know that game.
Very cool. Right. So I think what we'll do, I know that the only other person we're waiting for is Isabella Z, but hopefully I know that she was having some internet problems yesterday. So let's.
And Aiden.
And Aiden, oh yeah, that's true. And Aiden, well spotted. Ooh.
I think they're both on summer holidays now.
Yeah, they're both on summer holidays now.
I think they're on holidays.
Yeah, I know. Let's see. Yeah, so hopefully everyone will join us, but we'll see what happens. So today we are going to be looking at fairy tales, myths, and legends. So let's have a look. For today's lesson, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at our creative writing skills again. So this is going to build on some of the work that we did around kind of introductions, descriptive vocabulary, plot structure, and characters. So now you guys have figurative language. So figurative language was some of the kind of literary devices that we looked at yesterday. Maybe we'll just recap those quickly now as well. And you can build on these even more to become even more detailed. And we're going to practice looking at these within the topic of writing styles, fairy tales, myths, and legends. So just before we start, can anyone remember any of the literary devices that we did yesterday? Yes, shall we?
I can remember, I think, all of them.
You can remember all of them? Okay, would you want to start by just telling me one that we did?
Simile.
Simile, and what's a simile?
Simile is like, it's using like or as.
Brilliant, well done, Shawi. That's absolutely amazing. Well done. So Shawi's just told us a simile is when you compare something by using like or as. Brilliant. Max, are you going to tell us another literary device?
Personification.
Personification, brilliant. And what's personification?
It's when I think when it does something that it can't really do, but humans can do.
Brilliant, exactly. That's exactly what it is, Max. So for example, you might have something like a tree. So maybe you'll say the tree was dancing in the wind. That's an example of personification because a tree can't actually dance, but we're giving it kind of human characteristics and attributes. Brilliant, Max. Well done. Aidan Lee, can you tell us another one?
A metaphor.
A metaphor, brilliant. And what's a metaphor?
It's something that where you use was or is.
Exactly. So it's when you say that something is something, which it isn't. So for example, you might have a ballerina who's kind of moving gracefully. So you might say the elegant swan gracefully glided across the stage or something like that. Brilliant. I'm just going to say, if you don't need your hands up anymore, is it okay if I just pop them down just so I know when you have another question? Unless you do have another question. Brilliant. Can anyone else think of any of the other literary devices that we did yesterday? Yes, Max?
Alliteration.
Alliteration, brilliant. And what's alliteration?
When two or more words start with the same letter.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And then there's one more, shall we?
I think it's something with H. Is it hyperbole?
Yeah, it's a bit of a funny. Yeah, Max, do you know how to say it? How do you say it?
Hyperbole.
Hyperbole, brilliant, exactly. So it's hyperbole. And this is when something is quite exaggerated. So you might say something like, I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. Whereas you might not necessarily actually be able to eat a horse, but it's just been exaggerated for effect. Does anyone have any questions about anything that we did yesterday? Are we happy to get started today? No, that's all okay? Yeah? Okay, brilliant. So just as a little warm-up activity, so what we're going to do is we're going to match the clue to the book. So on the right here, we've got, has everyone heard of these fairy tales? So we've got Rumpelstiltskin, we've got Rapunzel, we've got Goldilocks, Snow White, and Cinderella. And then on the left here, we've got some clues. So we've got hare, apple, porridge, shoe, and turning straw into gold. So what I want you to do is I'll just give you a minute or so to think about it. I want you to think about which clue matches up to which fairy tale. So should we do an example together as a class? If we saw hair, which book would we match hair to? I'm going to just go for this one. Isabella T.
Rapunzel.
Yeah, exactly. Rapunzel. Brilliant. So I'll give you a minute or so just to have a little think. So I want you to think what you would match apple, porridge, shoe, and turning into straw into gold into. So think about what you'd match them to. I'm literally going to give you a minute, and then we'll go through them. So have a little think about which one you think it would match to, and then I'll be able to ask you and we can go through this. Is everyone okay with that? Yeah? Okay, cool. You might not even need a minute. Do you think that we could go straight away? Yeah? Okay, cool. So what would anyone match apple to? Apple. Yeah, shall we?
Snow White, because she ate a poisonous apple.
Brilliant. So we've got apple matches with Snow White. And how about porridge? Yes, Ethan?
Goldilocks.
Brilliant. Goldilocks. And why are we matching it to Goldilocks?
Because Goldilocks ate the baby bear's porridge.
Good. So she ate all the porridge. And how about shoe? Yeah, Max?
Cinderella,
exactly. And why Cinderella?
Because she dropped the shoe.
Yeah, exactly. So she lost her glass slipper. Brilliant. And then finally, turning straw into gold. Anyone know this one? Yeah, Ethan? Rumpelstiltskin. Yeah, exactly. I think you're actually on mute at the moment, but I could read the movement of your lips saying Rumpelstiltskin. So brilliant. Well done. Good, everyone. Good. So today we're going to be looking at fairy tales, myths, and legends. So we have traditional tales such as Cinderella, Little Red Riding Hood, and Goldilocks. And these play a really important part in literacy. Ethan, is your hand still up or can I pop it down? Pop it down. Brilliant. Perfect. So a traditional tale is a story that has been told and retold for many years. And consequently, it becomes a story that almost everyone knows. So we've all kind of showed this in the kind of previous task that we did, because we've all been able to match up the clues to the book, because there are so many tales that kind of everyone just knows, or you read when you were younger, or you've read now. And these traditional tales are referred to as fairy stories or fairy tales. And these include stories such as Cinderella, Goldilocks and the Three Bears, Jack and the Beanstalk. So just a quick question. Should we go around and does everyone want to tell me their favorite fairy tale and why? Yes, Isabella T, you go first.
I like Cinderella because it has a prince.
Because it has a prince. Very good. Cool. I like that. I like Cinderella too. It's a good one. And how about Ethan? What's your favorite story and why?
Jack and the Beanstalk, because when Jack's mum threw all the magic beans out, it grew into a giant beanstalk, and then Jack had to climb it all up and then got a castle and then took a magic chicken and a harp, and then they were rich again.
Yeah, good. Very well done. And how about Aiden Lee? What's your favorite fairy tale and why? You didn't have one. Okay, that's fine. No worries. And then how about Shawi? What's your favorite fairy tale and why?
I don't like fairy tales.
You don't like fairy tales? Oh no. Do you not like any fairy tales? No? Okay. Do you want to tell me why?
Well, because, I read chapter stories and I kind of forget about these.
So you've moved on a bit to the big stories. Okay, fair enough. And then how about Max? What's your favorite fairy tale and why?
I don't like them.
You don't like them either? Oh no. Okay, by the end, hopefully you'll like them a little bit more. Okay, so just as a point, so the difference between a myth and a legend, maybe you guys will like myths a little bit more if you don't like fairy tales. Okay, so a legend is presumed to have some basis in historical fact, and it tends to mention kind of real people or events. And these kind of historical facts morph into a legend. And basically what's happened is the truth has kind of been exaggerated to an extent. So there will be some historical basis to it, but it's been really exaggerated and kind of romanticized to become this kind of amazing story. Whereas in contrast, a myth is a type of symbolic storytelling that was never based on fact. So throughout time, myths have kind of been created to explain difficult concepts. So for example, we might have the origin of Earth and how these things came about. And it kind of uses common storytelling devices to become more compelling. So the kind of myths and legends are used interchangeably, but there is a difference between them. But I wouldn't worry if you do interchange them, that's absolutely fine. But just if anyone did want to know, so a legend is something that is presumed to have some historical kind of basis, whereas a myth is kind of more symbolic. So that's the difference between myths and legends. So when we're looking at different fairy tales, there are a couple of different types of words that we kind of often see that kind of points us directly to being a fairy tale. So let's read this passage out together, and can everyone see that underneath it says complete the phrases in this fairy tale, and there are 4 different kind of phrases or words here. So does anyone want to read the first sentence filling in the gap? Just the first block. Yes, shall we?
So should I have to fill in?
Yeah, so just fill it in.
So once upon a time.
Yes, brilliant. So once upon a time in an enchanted castle, Princess Ruby's something went missing. What does anyone think it is? I don't know where Isabella Z is. I'm not quite sure actually, Ainley. Yes, Max. Crown. Brilliant. Brilliant. Princess Ruby's crown went missing. Okay, her father, Ethan. Her father. Which word would he fill in? Yeah, Ethan?
King.
Brilliant. So we've got once upon a time in an enchanted castle, Princess Ruby's crown went missing. Her father, King Felix, suspected that the evil wizard was behind the disappearance. So we can kind of see what type of language is used in fairy tales. And this is often the kind of way that can alert us to this. So that's good. Well done. So some examples of some fairy tales. So we've talked about quite a lot of them. So there's Beauty and the Beast, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, Rumpelstiltskin, Snow White, Hansel and Gretel. Ethan said his favorite is Jack and the Beanstalk. Are there any others that aren't on this list that you guys can think of, or some particularly good ones that you can think of? Are there any others? No? Okay. As long as we've got the main ones down, or the ones that you guys like. Yeah, Ethan?
The Gingerbread Man.
The Gingerbread Man. Yeah, I guess you could do, because that's all of it. Kind of reminds me of, in Shrek, when all the different fairy tales come together. But yes, so we've got the story of the Gingerbread Man is very, very good. Good, well done. So just in terms of the key features of fairy tales and myths, and I think these are I think the reason why, I know that some of you have said that you don't like fairy tales too much, and I understand why, and that's completely fine. But just think of it as well as just kind of a creative story. Because I think the interesting thing is about fairy tales and myths is this is the chance for you guys to really let your imagination go. So you can pick whatever kind of characters you want. It doesn't have to be super realistic. It can just be as creative as you like. So I've taken the example of Cinderella. And so we're going to look at the different components of fairy tales. So characters. Why do you think characters are important? So we've done characters yesterday. So why do we think that having strong characters is important to your fairy tale? Does anyone have any ideas? Can anyone tell me the character that they remember the most from Cinderella and why? particularly good character in Cinderella? Yeah, Isabella T.
Because she was the
Yeah, don't worry, it's fine if you've forgotten, don't worry. Forgotten? Don't worry, it's fine. Shall we?
Did he ask us who's the main character?
Just one of your favorite characters or character that maybe stands out the most.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've got Cinderella, then we've got the evil stepmother. So that's quite an interesting character. We've got the two ugly stepsisters, we've got a prince, and we've got a fairy godmother. So we've got some really strong characters in there. And then other things you need to think about your settings. So I think it takes place at Cinderella's house, the palace, and outside the palace. And then another thing that's really important for fairy tales as well is the plot. So do you remember when we looked at Story Mountains? So it's kind of similar to that. So we have all the different types of plots. So we've got, for example, we've got the invitation arriving for the ball, Cinderella meeting her fairy godmother, Cinderella meeting the prince at the ball, midnight when her glass slipper falls off. Then we've got her trying on the glass slipper, and then we've got her marrying the prince. So you can kind of see that we've got all of these kind of interesting elements to the story. And that's really important when you're writing your kind of fairy tales and myths. So building upon some of the previous work that we've done, just move this up. Yes, we've talked about characterization. So characters and objects in fairy tales often have kind of special magical powers. There are magical objects, magical spells. So for example, in Cinderella, we've got fairy godmother, wicked witches. And another thing that's kind of interesting. So has anyone heard of the term anthropomorphism? Has anyone heard of this? This is a bit of a tricky word. So anthropomorphism is something that happens in fairy tales a lot. So in anthropomorphism, it's where animals act. Yes, Charlie, do you know what it means?
It's like some of the fairy stories. There's this animal and they're talking in human language.
Yeah, exactly. So it's where animals act like people. So another really good example of this is, has anyone read Fantastic Mr. Fox? Yeah. Okay, so Shawi's read it. So this is just Ethan, I'd recommend it to you if you hadn't read it. Isabella, if you haven't read it, I'd recommend it. Aidan Lee, if you haven't read it, I'd recommend it. Fantastic Mr. Fox, brilliant book. All Roald Dahl books are brilliant. And yeah, so this is a really key example of anthropomorphism. So it's basically where, so even like in Fantastic Mr. Fox, you know, they're having a big feast and they're all eating together and they're doing lots of different things. So this is where animals are acting like people. So if you ever told anyone that you know the word anthropomorphism, I think they will be very impressed. So another thing to think about is the place or the setting. So the place is usually imaginary, or it could be in another world or universe. It could be a fantasy time, so it might be in ages a long time ago, and it could be timeless, anything like that. So in terms of the plot line, it's usually very varied with some surprising twists and development. It involves situations not possible in a realistic world. So that's why fairy tales are kind of exciting for you guys to do in terms of your creative writing, because it just gives you license to talk about whatever you would like. And then it usually starts with once upon a time. There's usually a lot of fast moving action, some conflicts which are resolved, which is always interesting. And then we always have a bit of good, bad, and evil in there as well. So there's usually kind of a theme to it. So we talked about themes in plot lines in our first lesson together. So for example, we had things like rags to riches, which could be Cinderella, good, bad, or evil. And then we have, so there's usually kind of the possibility of magic powers with no scientific basis. And a lot of the time it centers around kind of like love, greed, jealousy, and different things as well. So those are kind of just some of the key points of fairy tales. So we're going to do a bit of a funny activity today, and I'm going to explain it to you. So I know that we've talked about how not everyone likes fairy tales, which is absolutely fine. But what we're going to do is we're going to have a go at rewriting a fairy tale. And I'll explain this to you as we go. So does anyone know, can anyone tell me from below the characters, setting, plot, theme, tone of the Three Little Pigs? Does anyone know this fairy tale, the Three Little Pigs? Yes, shall we?
I know the fairy tale.
Yeah, do you want to explain? Can you remember the plot? Can you explain it to everyone? Or can you tell me the characters in it or the settings? What? Yeah, go.
The plot is that they had to live on their own, the Three Little Pigs, so they built some house. The third little pig built his house out of straws, and then he could play. The second little pig built his house out of sticks, and then he could play with his brother. But the third little pig, he couldn't work with the bricks, and he made his house the strongest. So then the big bad wolf came and blew the straw house down. So the first little pig went to his brother's house, who had a stick house, but the big bad wolf blew that house down. So then they ran to their brother, the last brother, who had a brick house, and the wolf tried to blow it down, but he didn't manage to. So the wolf climbed on the chimney, but when he fell down, there was a big boiling pot of water waiting for him, and he got burned by his tail. So he ran away and never came back again.
Good, brilliant, Shari. That's absolutely brilliant. Ethan, did you have anything else to add to that?
I was about to say the characters.
You've asked the characters, and who are the characters? Do you want to tell me?
The Three Little Pigs,
Mm-hmm.
and the Mummy Pig and the Daddy Pig,
Yeah.
and 17 or 16 little brothers,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Big Bad Wolf.
Good. And so who can tell me who are the good characters and who are the bad characters?
Oh, I know.
Yeah, Isabella T.
So the bad character is the bad big wolf,
Yeah.
and the Three Little Pig is good.
Good, brilliant, exactly. So we've got the bad character is the wolf. So he's the baddie, he's the evil character. And the good characters are the Three Little Pigs. So the Three Little Pigs summary. So the Three Little Pigs, this is exactly what Shari said. Shari said it in a lot more detail than this. So the Three Little Pigs is a fable about three pigs who build three houses of different materials. A big bad wolf blows down the first two pigs' houses made of straw and sticks, but is unable to destroy the third pig's house made of bricks. So that was brilliant, Shari. You did that very well. Oh, brilliant, Ethan. So Ethan has told us the antagonist is the big bad wolf. Brilliant, Ethan. And the protagonists are the Three Little Pigs. Excellent, Ethan. That was absolutely brilliant. Very well remembered. So what we're going to do today, now, this is it can be a bit of a tricky task. Yes, shall we?
The one at the bottom, it says, the link, it says, honestly, Red Riding Hood was rotten. That one, I think I know that story. I read it, and it's got a collection, and one of them's about the Three Little Pigs.
Oh, good, exactly. So what I want you guys to do today is we're going to look at this traditional fairy tale of the Three Little Pigs, and we kind of talked about it. So we've got the goodie and the baddie. Exactly, Ethan, the protagonist of the Three Little Pigs. So I'm going to show you guys a video. And so first of all, so traditional tales can be used to reflect on more advanced writing techniques. So this is why we're kind of doing it today, because I know that sometimes fairy tales can be a bit easy. Maybe they're not as, as challenging as some of the other books that you've been reading, but rewriting fairy tales with a twist is a very good way of practicing your writing. So does everyone remember looking at perspective, or can anyone tell me what perspective is? Yes, shall we?
Perspective is like a different point of view. So like honestly, Red Riding Hood was rotten. It has a different point of view. So that one was like from Red Riding Hood's kind of point of view. This one was kind of for the wolf's point of view and saying, and it's a kind of an alternative ending.
Exactly. Brilliant. Brilliant. So what we're going to look at today is we're going to have a look at a video. Now, it seems a bit at the beginning, it seems kind of like a bit of a complicated video, or it's maybe, so I'll just explain it to you first before we watch it. So the story of the Three Little Pigs has been taken from the perspective of the Three Little Pigs. Okay, so the Three Little Pigs, so they're pictured here. The Three Little Pigs believe that the big bad wolf came and knocked their house down and tried to blow all their houses down. So in this story, the Three Little Pigs are the goodies and the big bad wolf is the baddie. Okay, so what we're going to have a look at is a video. And in this video, what they're doing is they're saying that actually the wolf is the goodie and the Three Little Pigs are the baddies. So within this little video, so I'm just going to show you, I'll explain it to you first. So it was created by The Guardian, which is a newspaper, which is a kind of online newspaper or kind of physical newspaper. And it's just kind of showing how stories can be told from different perspectives. So the premise of this story, or about the video that we're about to watch, is what it's saying is that the Three Little Pigs framed the wolf because they wanted, when your house sometimes falls down, if you ever have damage to your house and you have insurance, it means that kind of you get given money to rebuild your house. Or so, for example, let's say my house flooded tomorrow. If I have insurance, then they would help me, give me money to rebuild my house. So what they're saying in this next video is that the Three Little Pigs used the wolf. They lied about the wolf. So they said that the wolf had come and blown their houses down because they wanted money to rebuild their houses. And actually the wolf is the victim. So in this video, the wolf is the goodie and the Three Little Pigs are the baddies. And this is just a kind of alternative way. So I want you guys to think about when you're writing a story. So for example, there are some other books that explain this. So as Shawi has told us, we've got Little Red Riding Hood was rotten. The story of the Little Red Riding Hood is told by the wolf. So it's kind of a new take on fairy tales and kind of looking at that different perspective. And this is just something that's interesting because we're going to have a look at rewriting a fairy tale as well. So let's have a look at this video. Just move, sorry, there's quite a lot of things in the way here. Right, what I'll do, can everyone see this still? It says it's been paused, but can everyone see? Can everyone see the video? You can't see the video? Resume share.
I can't.
You can't see it? Oh, can you see it now?
I can't. I can't. I can't. I can't.
Oh, okay, right, what I'll do, let me stop share and let me try. Can you see this?
Yes.
Yeah, you can?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Brilliant. Right, so we can see this. So what I'll do is I'll just play a second of it just so you, and then can you just give me a thumbs up if you can hear the sound? So I'll just try it for a second. Can you hear that? You can't hear the sound? God, that's so strange. I don't know why. So you can't hear the sound at all? You can hear it now? You know that? Okay, cool. Right, let's go back to the beginning then. Ooh, it might be a little bit loud. Hopefully, is it too loud or is it okay? It's okay, cool.
A bit too loud.
Yeah, I thought it was a little bit too loud too. So as long as you guys can hear it. Okay, so I'm going to play it now and just watch the whole way through. It might seem a little bit complicated at the beginning, but we can talk about it at the end if we have questions. So I'm going to play it now. Is that okay? Everyone ready? Okay, good. Hopefully.
Pig is now being taken into custody, so the spotlight is once again shone on the grey area of homeowners' rights to protect their properties.
This isn't right. The three little pigs are the victims. They down two houses. Forgot what you did.
But the pigs are too far. They don't have any right to defend your property. Chinny chin chins up, fellas.
Really, someone a lie hardly constitutes reasonable
Somebody is
force.
going to break the law and treat
Yeah, protect yourself in your own home.
man's hurt his castle.
If someone tried to blow my house down, I'd do the same.
I knew the wolf. There's no way he could have blown down those houses. He had asthma.
The wolf had asthma. So what's the truth about the pigs' houses being blown down? Inside job.
There's no reason why those two houses, one made from straw, the other from wood, should have collapsed. Not even a healthy wolf's huff and puff to bring them down.
3 little pigs have confessed to conspiring to commit insurance fraud, framing the wolf in an attempt to cover their tracks. Their motive was financial, as they struggled to keep up with their mortgage repayments.
Guilt, I can empathise with
I'm behind on my payments too. I
How could this have happened?
just lost everything.
Okay. So let me just.
I have to go now.
You have to go now? Oh, okay, no worries at all. Oh, sorry, did you put that in the chat? I didn't see it. Yeah, no worries at all, Aiden Lee. It was lovely to see you today, though.
Okay, bye.
All right, see you later. Bye. Okay, ooh, I'm just going to stop share just so I can re-find my slides and get rid of these. Right, so play from current slide. Let me just share this with you. Share screen. Oh, sorry, I've got lots of different things in the way. Here we go. Right, so did everyone kind of understand what was happening there? Not quite. Okay, so Shao is saying not quite. Isabella T saying quite not quite. No. Okay, so what was
That's quite scary.
a little bit scary?
The polices.
The police.
I
Okay,
understand it.
you understand it. Max, do you want to explain to the rest of the class? You don't understand it? Okay, that's fine. We can talk about it. So Max, do you want to explain what was happening?
It's that they made the houses and the wolf couldn't have blown them down because he had the asthma, and even with the asthma he couldn't blow it down.
Yeah,
And the
exactly.
pigs were framing them. Him.
Exactly. So what was happening there is, so as we said before, we were looking at the kind of different perspectives and different points of view. So what was happening in that story is the kind of the classic fairy tale that we know, the Three Little Pigs. They said that the wolf blew down their house. But what that video was showing is that the Three Little Pigs got arrested because they said that the wolf blew down their house when he didn't. So what the video was showing, as Max said, was that the wolf had asthma. So do you know what asthma is? Like when you can't, asthma is like when you really struggle to breathe. So it means that like when you blow out, like, so if the wolf was like blowing out and to blow down the houses, because he has asthma, he has quite weak lungs, so he can't actually blow down the house. So what it was showing was that the Three Little Pigs, who were the goodies at the beginning, actually became the baddies, because they said that the Three Little Pigs, they said that the wolf blew down his house, but actually he couldn't blow down his house. So they were framing the wolf. Does everyone understand that? Does that make sense? Isabella T, does that make sense? Is that okay? Yeah. Shawi, your hand is up.
What does framing mean?
Framing. So it means that they blamed the wolf when it wasn't the wolf. So they said that the wolf did it when he didn't do it. So they framed him for the crime. So the crime would have been blowing down the houses, and they framed him. So framing him is when they said that it was him, even though it wasn't him. Yeah, does that make sense? Is that okay? Yeah. Ethan, did you have a question? Ethan?
I thought that is this the real version or the story's the real version?
So the story is the real version. This is just a twist. So what we're looking at today is kind of twists on fairy tales. So we're looking at, so this isn't the real version.
So in the real story there isn't any places.
Yeah, in the real story, there isn't any police. Yeah. So this is just looking at fairy tales from a different perspective. So Shawi, do you want to tell us, Shawi, have you read the Red Riding Hood was rotten? Do you want to explain what it is to the rest of the class?
So honestly, Red Riding Hood was rotten. Was that the wolf was vegetarian, and but when he came home, he had no fruit left to eat. So he went out and he found Red Riding Hood, and he thought she looked like an apple, so she decided to eat him by tricking her. So she went away, and then the wolf first went, and Granny was also admiring at herself, and I think the big bad wolf thought she was another fruit. I think and then he ate her all up first, and then it was the opposite. Instead of Little Red Riding Hood saying what the wolf looked like, she's saying how she looked like, because she admired herself, and the wolf said something about her, all about her. She looked like an apple, and then ate her all up.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant, exactly. So that's what we're going to look at today. So let's go on to the next page. Max, did you have a question?
I watched that at school before.
Have you? Brilliant. Well, that's good. So what we're going to look at today is kind of rewriting fairy tales. So we've Shawi's told us about how you could rewrite Little Red Riding Hood. The Three Little Pigs, we've looked at the example of how that's been rewritten by saying that the wolf had an illness and he couldn't actually have blown it down because he wasn't strong enough to even do that, and how the pigs just blamed him for that when he didn't do it. So I want you guys to think of a classic fairy tale. It can be anything. It can be any fairy tale you want. And I want you to think about how you could rewrite it, okay? So we've looked at how you could rewrite Little Red Riding Hood by saying that the wolf was actually a vegetarian and he thought that Little Red Riding Hood was an apple, so he ate her by mistake. Or we've had the example of the Three Little Pigs. So just as a couple of ideas of things you could do is you could switch the role of the hero and the villain. So, for example, is Cinderella as nice as you think? What if Snow White turned out to be the evil one? So imagine your favorite fairy tale with the hero being the villain. So that's kind of what we've talked about in the example of the Three Little Pigs. Or another thing that you could do, just move this out of the way, is you could tell the story from another character's perspective. So fairy tales can be very simple in nature. Good always prevails evil. So good always wins. Yes, shall we?
Number 2 is a bit like in the Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. It's a bit like that because Edmund, I think, he was very like naughty and not good, but because he was once nice, because he was in a not good school, what Lucy said.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good, exactly. So you could look at another perspective. So fairy tales can be very simple, but what if it's a bit more complicated? What the villain was once nice. So what if the villain was once nice and then, exactly as Shawi said, something happens? It can be really fun to imagine the story from another character's perspective. So for example, if you were telling the story of Cinderella, you could tell it from the stepsisters, or you could tell the story from Jack's mother and Jack and the Beanstalk, something like that. Or you could change the time period. So imagine Jack and the Beanstalk set in the future. So what happens if Jack and the Beanstalk set in the future? Instead of Jack climbing up a beanstalk, he could teleport to another dimension. And instead of an evil giant, there could be an evil computer or a virus or something like that. So changing the time period can change the plot, but you could keep the overall kind of meaning of the story the same. Another thing you could do is change the genre. So you might decide that people could be robots or something like that. So you could have a detective investigating the Three Little Pigs or something like that. Yes, shall we?
I think there is actually another version because Cinderella is from her stepmother, and her stepmother did not allow her to go because she was too naughty, and then she lost her voice. So a poor girl can't lost her voice in the bar, so she didn't allow her to go.
Exactly. So you could tell it from that perspective. Or you could do the ultimate crossover. So you could mix up different characters from different fairy tales. So is everyone okay with that? Does everyone understand what we've just looked at and about rewriting fairy tales? Do you want to do the thumb system on how you're feeling about it? Yeah. Ethan, Isabella T. Okay, so Ethan's feeling kind of okay. Isabella T. You're feeling good about it? Okay, cool. So what I want you guys to do, so Ethan, do you understand how this story can be changed, or kind of how to look at it from a different perspective? You get that? Okay, cool. So what I want you guys to do, I'll give you 10 minutes maybe. I want you to think of a fairy tale, any fairy tale you like, and I want you to change it. So you can change it by switching the role of the hero and the villain, change it from telling it from someone else's perspective, change the time period, change anything. I just want you to change the story and retell it. Does that make sense to everyone? Is that okay? Yeah, Shari, do you have a question?
I thought of a story, Goldilocks, but I don't know who's the villain.
Who's the villain? Goldilocks. Well, you can just change it to something else. Maybe set it in the future. Maybe instead of trying out porridge, she's trying out something else. Or or tell the perspective from the story of the little bear or something like that. Yes, Isabella T.
You mean the superhero to be the villain and they change the time?
You can do whatever you like. I would just change maybe one thing. Change whatever you like. So you could change the hero or the villain. You could change the time. You can
change the character.
Yeah, you can change the character. You can do whatever you like. I just want you to think of how you could retell it. So all I want you to do is just to change it, and you can change it in any way that you like. Does that make sense to everyone? Yeah. So has everyone got a piece of pen and a paper or something that they can write on? Brilliant. Okay, so I'm going to put a timer on now. I'm going to give you 10 minutes. If you have any questions, pop your hand up, and then hopefully we can go through these as well. Does that make sense? Is everyone okay with that? All good? Okay, brilliant. Brilliant. Do you have a question, Max?
You just write it the whole story again, except we just change the character or
yeah, so you don't even necessarily have to rewrite the whole thing out. I just want you to tell me how you're going to do it. So you could just tell me what you're going to change, what you're going to think, or you can rewrite it as well if you would like to, whatever you think that you're going to have time for.
If you're changing the characters, I just tell you what I changed.
Yeah, exactly. And you can tell me how it's going to happen, how it's going to change, what the impact of the change is. So for example, if Cinderella, you change it for something else, like what that's going to do for your story. And you can retell the story as well. Because you've got about 10 minutes. So whatever you think you could get done in that time would be brilliant. So you can write the story out again. If that works for you, that would be brilliant. Or you can just bullet point it. That might be easier. So instead of writing it out in full sentences, it might be easier if you guys just bullet point what's going to happen in each section of the story. I'd probably recommend doing that. Is that okay, Max? Yeah, shall we?
My mommy's computer is out of power. I might rejoin again onto my iPad that's full of power. So can I just leave now?
Yeah, of course. We'll see you in a minute.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. Okay, cool. Ethan, are you writing? Are you thinking? Yeah? Okay, good. So we're going to talk these through. You're going to present your fairy tale back to the rest of the class. So we're going to talk about these. Is everyone okay? Yeah. Any questions? Anything? Just let me know. You've probably got another. Yeah. Do you have a question, Ethan?
Whilst writing, my tooth fell out.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Whilst writing, my tooth fell out.
Your tooth fell out? No way. Oh my goodness.
It's here.
Oh my goodness. Wow. I hope you put it underneath the pillow for your tooth fairy. Yeah, you might get, I don't know how much. I think I used to get £1 for mine.
My teacher says every time he puts it under there, he says he gets 0p.
0p. Well, maybe he doesn't have a very good tooth fairy. I don't know. Well, hopefully, Ethan, you can tell us tomorrow if the tooth fairy came. Yeah. Cool. So we probably got another, let's say 4 minutes.
Done.
You're done, Max?
Yeah.
Brilliant. How's everyone else doing? Anyone else close to finishing? Ethan, how are you doing? Close to finishing? Not close to finishing?
Close.
Close to finishing? Okay, cool. What do you think?
Nearly.
Nearly done. Brilliant. How about you, Shawi? How are you doing?
I'm nearly at the finish.
Nearly at the finish. Okay, brilliant. Isabella T? Okay, so maybe let's do 1 more minute, okay? 1 more minute, and then we can talk about them. So Ethan says you're done. Okay, brilliant, Ethan. Shall we, you done?
No, I just have a question because is the word widow only for like women?
Yes, so a widow, I think it's widow and widower. So would you like to do it the other way around?
Yeah, who's like for the man?
Yes, I think it's a widower. Let me just check that. Widower. Yeah, man. Let me type it in for you, shall we? There you go.
Okay.
Cool. So, what we'll do, Isabella T, how are you doing? Not finished yet? You are finished? You're not finished. Okay. Ethan, you have a question?
I want to say my story.
You want to say your story? Okay, cool. What we'll do is, Isabella T, you keep working on yours. Shawi, you keep working on yours. And Ethan, why don't you tell me your story, and then Max, you can tell me yours after. Okay, cool. So Ethan, off you go.
And my character circle looks like the 3 little pigs, and my story is
Wait, too fast. Slow down a tiny bit, I can't hear you.
And the story is that the 3 little pigs built their house, and then along came Goldilocks, and then Goldilocks tricked the 3 little pigs, and there was a feast outside in London. And then Goldilocks went through all the houses that the 3 little pigs had porridge in, and then Goldilocks ate all of it, and then she was full up and friendly. And when the 3 little pigs came back and they found out their food was gone, and then they got angry and chased the Goldilocks.
And chased Goldilocks. Good. So Ethan's decided to do a crossover story. Brilliant. Well done, Ethan. Very good story. How about Max? Max, what have you chosen to do?
3 little pigs.
You've chosen the 3 little pigs as well. And what did you choose to do with the 3 little pigs?
They changed the characters.
You changed the characters, and what did you change them to?
The pigs into monkeys and the wolf to a crocodile.
The wolf to a crocodile. And so is it the same? Is it the essence of the story is still the same? What happens in the story?
They build the houses, and then instead of the crocodile blowing it down, it just goes in the entrance, and then the pig jumps out and smashes a hole in his house.
Oh my goodness.
It happens again with the stick house.
Mm-hmm. And then what? Yeah.
And then on the brick one, the crocodile didn't think of going in the chimney so then it just smashes through the door. So then the pigs jump out of the chimney.
Ah, very clever, very clever. I like your story. Ethan, do you have a question?
I know why the crocodile didn't think of going in the chimney.
Why?
1, because he's too big. 2, because he was numpty and he was very, 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 very,
Very,
Very.
very what?
I forgot.
You've forgotten? Okay, cool. So Ethan, is Max, is that true? Is that why is he too big to go down the chimney? Is that what happened?
Well, he was bored. He didn't think of
because the crocodile can't get up.
Ah, so the crocodile can't get up there. Good. Interesting. Shall would you like to do your story?
Interesting.
Yeah, Shall, what's your story?
So my story is about this. Snow White is wicked instead of the wicked queen. So Snow White orders her animals to get away the wicked queen. The wicked queen that she thinks is wicked, but the wicked queen becomes a nicer queen, and she looks after the I think it's 7 dwarfs.
Mm-hmm.
And becomes a maid for them. And then there was this nice girl with some apples, and she offers the queen some apples, and the queen takes the juiciest apple, but it is actually poisonous, so she falls poisoned and drugged. And then the 7 dwarfs came and put her into a glass coffin, but then a king come, which is a widower, and they live happily ever after.
Oh, that's brilliant, Shall. That's absolutely perfect. Well done. That's a brilliant story. Really, really good. Excellent work. And then finally, Isabella T, have you managed to think of anything? Yeah, do you want to tell us yours?
Once upon a time, have a princess called Mulan and found Snow White and the prince, and they are greedy and not nice and dummy.
Mm-hmm. Is that it? Is that how you changed it?
Even they're really noisy.
Noisy. Okay, cool. Very good. Very good. Well done, Isabella. That's excellent.
Well done, everyone.
Yeah, well done, everyone. Exactly, from Ethan. Well done, Ethan. Cool. So, really good work, guys. That was fantastic. So another thing that we're going to look at just quickly for the end. So we've got good and evil usually in our stories. We've kind of touched upon this as we've kind of spoken about twisting the story. Yes, Ethan. Ethan?
Protagonist and antagonist.
Exactly, the protagonist and the antagonist. Brilliant. Yeah, shall we?
I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, I remembered. I think it says to prevent them from achieving success, love, and happiness. One example includes not many people know this. It's not a fairy tale, but what I know from my memory when I was little was that when I watched one movie from My Little Pony, there was the wicked pony, and she prevented from Princess Candace and Prince Shining Arm, I think, from marrying it and prevented them before by pretending to become Princess Candace. So that's one example.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Shawi. That's wonderful. So just as Shawi said, the villain is the evil character in this story. Yes, Max? You have a question, Max?
I just accidentally put it up.
Yes, I put it up, no worries. So the villain is the evil character in the story, and their main intention is to harm or kill the main character or prevent them from achieving success. So this could be the wolf in Little Red Riding Hood, the stepmother and the ugly sisters in Cinderella, the queen in Snow White. And usually there is a struggle between the hero and the villain, which is good and evil, and it's often at the center of the fairy tale and drives the action in the story. So when you think about your plot lines, that's usually what's driving the plot, the engine of the story. So the hero and the villain are at odds with each other. They want a different outcome, and this produces conflict and competition. Ethan, did you have a question?
Stretching.
You're stretching? Okay, cool. So we're actually just about to finish. So let me just look at the next. So in terms of when we looked at kind of good and bad characters, we won't have time to do this today, just we're running out of time. But I want you to think of who the evil character is in your story. So when we've done kind of creating brilliant characters, which is what we've done, I want you to think about what's making them evil. Like maybe they have dark black eyes, or maybe they've got something a bit scary about their appearance. Yes, Ethan.
Homework.
Homework. Yeah, there will be homework. Don't you worry.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, not as exciting. Yeah, shall we?
Where's the picture in Evil Queen? Where's her hair gone?
Not quite sure, to be honest. I just found this one online. I don't quite know where her hair's gone. She's wearing some kind of scary mask kind of thing. Right, so just in terms of the homework. So what I thought you guys could do is create your own fairy tale. So these are some prompts on the side that you can use to create this, and you can use them, and you can just do it in bullet points, or you can kind of write in full paragraphs. So the aim of this is just to get you thinking about the components of a fairy tale and what you would like to write. But because we spent quite a long time today on our kind of fairy tales with a twist, if you'd like to write out your fairy tale with a twist instead, you can. So you could either write out the story that you presented to the class. So you can either write that out, or you can think of a brand new fairy tale. Yes, Ethan.
So you have to rewrite a story.
So you can either do the story that you did in class, or you can come up with your own brand new fairy tale.
Oh, so you can make up your own fairy tale.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, so if you'd like to do, maybe if you would like to do the story that you rewrote. So what did you do? Goldilocks and the Three Little Pigs. You can do that if you want. You can write that one out. Yeah. Is everyone okay with the homework? Does everyone understand what we're doing? Does that make sense?
Will you upload it?
Of course I will upload it. Of course I will. Yes. Anyone with any questions? Anything that you want to ask about today? Anyone confused about anything? Everyone feeling okay? Yeah? Thumbs up all around? Brilliant. Perfect. We'll stop chat and I will...
My other tooth's about to fall out as well, look.
Oh my goodness.
Look what my pencil is.
Your pencil? That's tiny.
But I can extend it.
Oh, that's very cool. Shall what are you showing? Shall we showing us the time?
Are
you telling us it's time to go?
It's not the time yet. It's already past 5 minutes.
It's already past. It's 11:01 at the moment. So we're 1 minute over. But does anyone have any more questions or anything else they want to ask before tomorrow? No? All good? Brilliant. I will stop share. I will upload the task to the hub again, and yeah. Brilliant. Okay. Everyone okay?
Bye.
Brilliant. Bye. See you guys tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye. See you later.